Good morning, everybody. Got a beautiful day here in Alabama. We're still warm during the day, but we are cooling down at night. We're dipping into the 50s, and we're supposed to be into the 40s here in the next 48 hours, and that signals me to move all my plants inside. I have to remind everybody I don't grow outside all the time. I only grow 5 months a year outside, and there's inside 7 months sitting on shelves in front of windows. Like most people, I grow inside. Where I live in Alabama is not a magical place where I can grow orchids year-round outside. I see a lot of comments about my channel that people think I live in South Florida, live in a really warm climate where I can grow orchids outside year-round. That's not true at all. I'm only outside from May until 1st of October, and then I have to move them inside. Vegetables are doing great. Garden looks good. And I've got orchids strewn out along the wall here. I'm looking them over, making some notes in my notebook about everybody and how well they're growing. This is Dendrobium Roy Takananga. Big, beautiful new cane on it growing. This is a really nice plant. Seems to be doing well. Loves that lava rock in that cedar basket. I'm not going to pull all the tags and all the names. I'm just going to kind of show the new growths on everybody. Big new growth on here. Big beautiful growth on that one. Love that lava rock roots. Beautiful, beautiful growth. This is I forgot which this one's called. Tucarera Hilo Adventure. But this plant is a rapid grower. A lot of roots. It's grown a couple of canes already. Has another new one shooting out the bottom there. Seems to really be liking the lava rock. POT Dick Smith Tom Chelsea Award. Another one that just seems to be very happy. I've got 3 canes popping out on it right now. Just incredible growth. Seems to really like that rock. That's in a mixture of river rock, pea gravel, lava rock. Heavy maple canda. What an aggressive grower this one is. Just beautiful, beautiful roots all over that pot, wrapping around the inside of it. I don't have any problems with the plants growing in lava rock. I don't have any problems with them growing in clay pots. They just grow and grow and grow. And I'm going to sit and talk about inert medias here and kind of have a general discussion on inert medias coming up real soon. I think it's important to do that. I think there's a big misunderstanding when it comes to inert medias. Well, that's a good grower too right there. That's key lime stars. Another one, big new growth with a sheath, but nothing in the sheath yet. This is one of the most aggressive growers I have. This is the BL Yellowbird, but look at the growths poking out on it. More new shoots poking out. That's the 7th and the 8th new shoot that I've gotten off this plant since I got it. Just really filling out that pot. Loves that river rock, nice and thick down in there. Dendrobium, this is a Nobile Dendrobium. My Nobiles will be staying outside. They're going to be getting a little more cool temperatures for several more weeks, so they're in a little more of a drier stage right now. I'm going to be sitting outside here getting some cool temperatures, but this one has just filled up this little pot. Seems to be very, very happy. Beautiful, beautiful growth. Oncidium Gower Ramsey, 2 big growths on it. Doing extremely, extremely well. One big growth right there and another one right here. Seems to love that lava rock. It's getting settled in. Roots are extending down, getting into that lava rock. Beautiful root growth. I love seeing blooms. I love seeing, orchids, plants. I prefer to see the whole plant, and we'll come back to the phals here in just a minute. But I really like looking at roots and how the plant is adapting to your media and how it's growing in your pot. To me, that says a lot about a plant's condition and how it's being cared for. What a beauty. I love the tight growth habit on this one. Seems to really like that, the roots growing down into that river rock. I have never had any plant, any type of orchid, not do well in inert medias, in lava rock, pea gravel, river rock, etc., etc., etc. They all seem to do really, really well. Yeah, this is Dendrobium Green Flash. This one's just doing great. Still putting out tons and tons of roots. And this big brand new cane that it's put out, really tall, much taller than the rest of the plant. Kind of surprised me, but it's hardened up, got a nice cane to it now. Looks great, absolutely great. More new growth, doing beautiful. This is Crimson Pride. It's Oncidium OIP Crimson Pride. It's got a big new growth coming out the side of it over here. And I did get a little bit of thrip damage, it looks like, on that for being outside. That's all right, I'll take that. Beautiful, beautiful root growth. Look at that roots. Just a new shoot coming out, another one at the base of that new growth that it just finished. And that is Pastoral Rose, BC Pastoral Rose. Sorry for the bad photography here. What a beauty. And what a pretty plant. I'm not doing well with the shadows of the sunlight this morning. And this is Madam Pink, Denfowl Madam Pink, with a big, beautiful new growth on it. The frogs just seem to hang on it. There's always frogs sitting on these leaves. The new growth has gotten as big as the old one, which I'm really happy about. Anyway, I can't complain about any of the growth. Step back to the phals here. This is that little phal with the 4 keikis, and it's got new roots. You can see new roots poking out down here. I've planted it in this lava rock, and it seems to be very happy. I'm going to let this grow as a clump. Having those keikis on it does not take away nutrients or nutrition or pull strength from the mother plant. Not at all. That's just a big myth. It doesn't pull any more nutrients or strength away from the mother plant any more than any other orchid getting a new growth would, if that makes sense. Any plant that any orchid that has a new shoot or a new cane or new bulb starting to grow is doing the same thing. It's pulling nutrients from the older growths and stuff like that. You want to feed it enough so it doesn't do that. So all I have to do is just make sure I'm feeding it enough, and it should just continue to grow just fine. I don't need to remove the keikis to keep the mother alive or anything like that. There's no problem with it. This is a KV Beauty. Big, beautiful phal. Big, pretty new leaf on it. Got some debris collected down in there I need to blow out. But you can see, getting the sun, maybe you can see it better. You can see the big root down there. It has several big roots coming out. They're starting to stick out of the holes. But seems to be very happy in its new home. It's planted in the lava rock inside that cedar box. Seems to love it. This is another one that's planted in that little cedar box with the lava rock, and it seems to be very happy. Holding on to its spike. Still blooming. And lots and lots of root growth. This is another little Phalaenopsis that has 2 keikis. And both those keikis are doing great. And again, I'm not going to separate them. I'm going to grow it out as a clump. I think they look more natural that way. I think they look better that way. And they definitely are going to bloom better, I think. Another one, this one was struggling. And I ended up putting it back into the pot with lava rock and a little bit of moss. And there's nothing wrong with using a little bit of moss with your lava rock. As this plant gets, it had really poor roots. It's coming along much better now. It's anchored in there a little bit. I can peel some of the rock and stuff away, and I see new roots down there, so it is starting to form new roots. I'm just going to give it a little bit more time, and I'll remove the moss and stuff later on, or it can filter out of the pot as it decays. These little variegated phals, these are Sogo Vixens. They are very slow growers. I'm getting new leaves. These are new leaves. These are new leaves. There's another new leaf here. This is new leaf. This is new leaf. Their new ones are bigger than the old leaves, but very, very slow on the root growth. And they're getting fed just like all the other orchids I have. Same amount, same frequency, but just much, much slower growth on those two phals. And having two of them doing the exact same thing kind of leads me to believe that it's more of the variegated phal tendency to do that. They're just not as rapid of a grower, I don't think. This is like one of the first phals I got on this batch of orchids, and it has just filled up this pot. There's very little gravel that's loose anymore in this pot. It's all pretty solid. It's stacking up those leaves. It's still holding on to those 3 flower spikes, and I would not be surprised to see some new flower spikes popping out here sometime the next week or two as the temperatures drop and it gets exposed a little more cold. Here's a perfect example of a phal that's really happy. Lots and lots of root growth, and you can see there's a spike coming out next to that root, and there's another spike coming out on the left side right there too. So now this plant had a re-established brand new set of roots. You can see they're all over down in the pot. It is growing up leaves, stacking up those nice leaves, but it had to re-establish new roots, and so it did lose its original spikes. Wasn't able to hang on to those, but some of the other plants are holding on to theirs, and that's good. Anyway, just a quick peek. I'm going to turn you around slowly here and show you in the shade house too. There's a few plants still doing great in these boxes, just growing like crazy, putting out lots and lots of roots. Very, very happy. Encyclia Rio Clarence, and just look at the root growth pouring out of this plant. It's just filling the box, just filling it, absolutely just filling it. Beautiful, beautiful plant. Good color. There's another little dendrobium, my sweet wink, right here. It's going to be staying outside. This was Walkeriana. This one I have not had that long, but it is putting out roots and getting established down into that lava rock. It seems to be very, very happy. These are the keikis from that original My Sweet Wink that I had. They've been attached to that piece of wood, and they're doing great. Absolutely loves that piece of wood. Roots climbing all over the place. They took off really, really well. They're doing very, very well. I want to move everybody slowly. We got down to 54 degrees last night. This is that Dendrobium aggregatum. And it's got new roots poking out all over the place. It's grown 2 new growths so far and has lots and lots of roots on it. Seems to be very, very happy. Seems to really like that piece of wood. I absolutely love the mounted ones. Here's my other phal I was going to show you. Get in the sunshine where you can see better. Beautiful growth on this phal. It's held on to its 2 flower spikes, and this is a perfect example of why I don't cut off flower spikes, and you should not cut off flower spikes. This existing flower spike is budding out again in 2 different places. This one is as well, and on top of that I've got 2 new flower spikes showing up down here. So instead of getting 2 and cutting those off, I would still get 2 new ones, but now I'm going to get 4. And I wouldn't be surprised if this plant put up some additional spikes on top of that. It's getting a lot of food. It's growing like crazy. It has a very, very good root system. It seems to be very, very happy on that piece of wood. So I would expect some pretty good blooms from that. You know, and I tell people all the time, I use the term research. Research shows. I say that all the time. Research shows this, research shows that. If I tell you my opinion, it's just that. It's just my opinion. But if I tell you research shows, that means that somebody took plants, clones of plants, and did an experiment and came up with results, and that's fact. That's hard fact. That's science. That's just, there's no dispute in that. And when they take the spikes and they do a chemical analysis of pieces of the spikes from phals that have finished blooming before the spikes turn yellow and start to wither, it shows that the research shows that they contain 8 to 10 times as much potassium in the spikes as anywhere else in the plant. Anywhere else in the plant. When they do a plug test on a lower leaf that's turning yellow and they do a chemical analysis on it, it has almost no potassium in it. It's devoid of potassium. Now, Professor Wang of Texas A&M did a lot of research on Phalaenopsis. He is one of the leading researchers on Phalaenopsis for commercial growers. And in many of his articles and on his research papers, he talks about how potassium is responsible for the lower leaf senescence on Phalaenopsis. Typically, when they get into reproduction mode and they start putting spikes up, is when they start to lose lower leaves. If you feed them enough, and the way I'm feeding my phals right now is I'm giving them plenty of nitrogen. They're getting about a matched amount of potassium as well. The Jax mix that I use has a lot of potassium in it, but I feed them heavy nitrogen all the way up until the spikes get to be a couple inches long, and then I back off the nitrogen quite a bit and just maintain them. And then once they finish up their bloom cycle and they finish blooming, I'll start pushing the nitrogen back again and making sure that they have plenty of potassium also, because I don't want to start senescing lower leaves. Now, any Phalaenopsis that's new from the store, has bad roots, and is still trying to get established is probably going to have some issues with trying to maintain a good, I guess, nutrient level in itself. And so senescence of a couple of lower leaves is not uncommon, but you don't want that to happen all the time. You really want to make sure you're feeding them enough to keep that from happening. Stack those leaves up and keep those flower spikes on. I see the reason I started researching the flower spikes to begin with was I started seeing photographs when I was doing some research for myself, looking up stuff, trying to find out how to grow these beautiful plants. I would see photographs of Phalaenopsis in the wild, and they would be in clumps with many keikis and many flower spikes, old flower spikes, lots of flower spikes from different seasons, from different bloom sessions, and they would be holding onto those flower spikes and reblooming from them and have massive bloom clusters. So again, I'm just trying to mimic Mother Nature and follow the research. I respect people's opinions, and I love to hear somebody's opinions on things, but I'll take research any day over somebody's opinions, including myself. So this is L.C. Denard Blue Heaven. What a beautiful plant. Really has adapted well to that piece of wood. Just covered it in roots. All the growths have done very well. It's still got one growth right there that it's finishing up and growing. And I wouldn't be surprised to see some more action here in this one here soon. But just seems to be very happy. It's a lot brighter shade than some of the other Cattleya types that I have. Quite a bit different. It gets a lot more sun hanging on the mount than it does in the pot inside the shade house. So, but what a beautiful plant. And then the Brassavola nodosa, which has just gone crazy. I've gotten somewhere around 15 or 16 new growths on this plant since I put it on the mount, or since I've had this plant since March, and it has just gone crazy. It really seems to be happy on that mount. It's covering itself up with roots. Just doing great. Just doing great. And there's you can see that little frog right there. That's about the only pest issues I have with the orchids is little frogs. And they're not hurting anything. They do sometimes bend over a cane or a blossom spike. But that's the only pest I have issues with. Anyway, my plants are going to be moving inside the next 48 hours. Just wanted to give you a quick look at them again. They're all doing great. Probably not the best lighting out here today to be looking at them. The phals are getting new spikes, getting exposed to those cooler day temperatures. It's not the cooler night temperatures that induce a Phalaenopsis to spike. It's the cooler daytime temperatures that induce a Phalaenopsis to spike. Commercial growers, if you do the research on it, commercial growers even use cooler nighttime temperatures to keep their Phalaenopsis from spiking, to deter them from spiking before they ship them off. Why is that important to know? Well, most people keep their house cooler at night than they do during the daytime. The heat comes on in the morning and warms up the house during the daytime. In the evening, most people turn their temperatures down, which is the opposite of what a Phalaenopsis likes. So if you're having trouble getting your Phalaenopsis to bloom, you may want to consider that also. But I'm going to take all these plants and get them off the wall and put them back into the shade house. And they're going to enjoy another day or two out here, and then they got to go inside. Anyway, enjoy your day. I'm going to enjoy mine. I'm going to make some notes about some of the plants in my journal and get back to work. Have a great day, everybody, and thank you so much for all your wonderful comments, your thoughts, your prayers, those questions. I love those questions. I absolutely love the questions. And we'll talk soon. Have a great day.